Welcome, everybody. It's time to finally get these two series underway. We're starting off with Mind versus Soulkey here for the SSL Classic. My name is Wolf, and of course with me is Rapid. And we don't have a caster duo name, I guess, but that's who we are for the SSL Classic every Thursday. But today on Monday, and we're going to be having Premier coming up later on this evening.
Yeah, it feels a little bit strange to have SSL Classic on Monday, but for today, and then every other day after this, we're going to be going through the SSL Series playoffs. And we won't have SSL Challenge playoffs because that's going to be pretty much the up and down matches or the fast lane. But hello, everybody. We are on screen at the Nexon Arena. So
Mom, I'm on TV.
I finally made it. It's my big moment. I'm so nervous, Wolf. Hold me. No, just kidding. We can do that later. Right now, it's time for some Brood War, and it's going to be Soulkey against Mind.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great series as well. If you guys missed the series of the ASL yesterday, we're going to spoil it all night long, so you probably want to get right out of the stream.
That's a good disclaimer, because those games were games that if somebody had spoiled for me, I would hate it if I went back and watched it afterwards. They were so good.
But they're so relevant to tonight's matchup as well, because Soulkey played them obviously just yesterday in the exact same matchup, and it was a tough opponent, and most would argue, almost every single person would argue Flash is the tougher opponent of the two. So
absolutely,
he had to pull out some unique strategies, including the 4 pull. I'm just going to go ahead and mention it. So you'd even 4 pulled, went for a Guardian strategy as well.
True, yeah.
So, I mean, with the strategies he's shown us already, it feels like he's kind of pulled a few tricks out of his hat, or, you know, as you call it, bag of bag of tools. Is that what you called it?
Well, so Shine is the player that's in the ASL finals right now, and his Korean nickname is Mr. Bag of Builds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if Soulkey went up to him and was like, hey, man, I got to borrow some, but he definitely pulled some out yesterday. Now, here is a look at our format for the SSL playoffs. We got our first round, that's a 3rd and 4th place match, and then it's like a gauntlet format. So you win the first round, you move on to the second round. You face the 2nd place player, and then we have the grand finals. But today, we're having Mind versus Soulkey here in SSL Classic, and then later on, Solar takes on Stats in the same format in SSL Premier for StarCraft 2.
That's right. Winners will advance to the Thursday matches where we'll have Brood War and, of course, StarCraft 2 yet again. So look forward to those coming up on Thursday. So these are the two matchups. Obviously, the Splice Team Kill is going to be a great one. Brendan, of course, will be joining me for that later. We're going to have a little caster swap-arino in between these series. But the first matchup is definitely going to be my pick of the two for the evening. I'm really excited about this after what we saw Soulkey do in the ASL. And here are our maps. We have the ban on Zerg favorite Neo Medusa from Mind, and then, of course, Soulkey banning out Match Point.
Yeah, that Match Point ban is just because the only time he played Mind in SSL, Mind 8-raxed him on Match Point, and it did not look good. So Soulkey wants to avoid that once again, the Match Point, our 2-player map, and eliminate that from the map pool. So it's going to be Neo Jade, Blue Storm, and Circuit Breaker. Kind of interesting to see Circuit Breaker's last. A lot of players use that first to kind of test out the waters because it is such a standard map. But it'll be interesting to see Jade again. I feel like we haven't gotten a chance to see that a whole lot in the map pool this season.
Yeah, it's definitely been definitely one of our lesser seen maps, if you will. I'm excited to see Circuit Breaker as the finishing map, as you said, for the same reasons, because there could be a lot of hyper aggression there. It's a map Soulkey's really liked his Mutalist play on. It obviously didn't save him in his match against Flash. He died of that pretty standard 5-racks pressure, but I'm excited to see how this match is going to play out because of what we've already seen. Will Soulkey play better tonight, or because he's shown so much already and perhaps he's exhausted from that 5-game series last night, will he have a weaker performance? Because you have to argue Soulkey is the favorite going into this series just simply because of how dominant he looked against Flash in certain games yesterday. Flash, who's been completely untouched right now. He's not bourgeois status, but if he wins another 2 seasons or so, we're getting there, right?
We got to find a golden thing to give him for 3 championships in ASL. He's working on that, but in his matches against Soulkey, you don't really leave a lot of energy or strategy on the table when you're going up against Flash in the round of 4 in the semifinals of the ASL. So you really have to expect that Soulkey has given a lot away, a lot of strategies that Mind has studied. And here is Mind, the Scholar Terran, Rommel Terran, whatever you want to call him. One of the smartest Terran players ever to play the game, and you can just see that reflected in his wins. But one key thing to notice is last loss against Effort, another very strong Zerg player. may have indicated a weakness in that matchup.
I feel like he's definitely less aggressive than Flash is in terms of bio pushes, and I think that's one thing that Soulkey is actually quite good at, is dealing with slow passive Terrans. I feel like one of Soulkey's weaknesses is definitely the hyper-aggressive play we saw out of Flash, getting him out of position, making those meterless plays seem worthless, make it seem like this Fire Tech is a bad choice. In terms of matchups, historically for these two, Soulkey's worst matchup by far is this one, and this is Mind's best. But the other thing to keep in mind is in recent times, Soulkey has played the stronger opponent. So in terms of recent results, yeah, it's still his worst matchup. But I mean, he just took 2 games off Flash last night in a best of 5. So it's pretty impressive, and he's had the more recent results overall. He's facing an MSL champion. He's never won a StarCraft 1 title. He has 2 StarCraft 2 titles under his belt, but Mind is an MSL champion, right? So
not just an MSL champion, a Royal Roader, all the way through the final there. So Mind, a player that came out of relative obscurity and then blasts his way all the way to the grand finals. Soulkey, a player that has established himself in StarCraft 2, is looking to finally get a championship in StarCraft 1. So let's go ahead and get into game number 1 of our first day of the SSL Classic playoffs. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first day, our first game, the SSL Classic Playoffs. Our blue Terran player spawning in the upper right-hand corner is Mind, and his red Zerg opponent down in the bottom right is Soulkey.
So we are starting things off, cross spawns here, and this is obviously going to be an exciting map. We don't see it very often in competitive play, and it's it's an exclusive map to this tournament, so just keep that in mind as we head into this one.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the other 4-player maps that we commonly see, like Fighting Spirit and Circuit Breaker, but I think the big thing is that you have a low ground main, so you really do want to go ahead and expand. And if you do go for a 1-base strat and then your opponent gets on the high ground outside your main, leaving your main base is a major pain. So definitely do want to get that expansion. That's exactly what Soulkey is going for.
That's right. So Soulkey's been showing us a lot of triple hatch play, obviously taking the in-base hatchery, teching up into the Spire tech, using that to harass and slow down these barracks pushes, but I'm not so certain he'll actually use that same style here against Mind, because Mind comparatively is a much more passive player than, say, Flash, who will 5-racks almost every single matchup he can, especially if he's not cross-spawned. So if you give Flash the ability to test someone, he will 5-racks them, right? Whereas Mind is just usually going to play the more passive, late-game oriented play style. So we'll see if that's what he's going to be showing us here, and how Soulkey will adjust his play style as a result.
Yeah, and there's that 12 hatch that I was talking about earlier, an economic opening. Now versus Flash, every time Soulkey went for a 9 pool, and that served him very, very well, because a couple of times Flash went for aggressive early strategies, and because Soulkey had the 9 pool, while normally it's less economical, if you don't know you're going to need it, you want to go for this build, but versus Flash, he got it every time. Yeah, and it served him really well.
And this is kind of a comparison of what we're talking about, right? Mind, the much more passive player, just has an in-base barracks here after depot, not going to do anything aggressive. Soulkey does drone scout just to make sure he's prepared for some sort of shenaniganry like this, but he can get away with a double hatch here before spawning pool because he knows Mind is the more passive player. So just an alteration already on the build, whereas Flash is more likely to proxy, do that BBS even occasionally.
Right. Yeah, so it is 3 hatch before pool. In case you guys are unfamiliar with the matchup, that is that's a little bit beyond just an economic opening. It's a little greedy, because if you've missed your opponent's proxy somewhere on the map, then you just die. You'll have no Zerglings anywhere near the time that you need to. But like you said, reading Mind as literally mind reading. as the more passive player, it's going to work out and give Soulkey maybe a little bit of an advantage.
So we're going to see a few SCVs pulled down here, actually, to punish this, because he scouts with his SCV the very late spawning pool. So Zerglings will be coming out very late. It's actually important for Soulkey to start this creep colony. Bunker already coming up. He's going to need to pull drones here. And he does save larva for those Zerglings. Notice that he's not making any drones there at the natural. He's pooling up larva so they can pop out all the Zerglings to crush this once it finishes. But the key is to try to actually prevent the bunker from building. This is not going to be necessarily critical damage coming out from mine, but it's forcing a sunken colony already. It's forced a drone pull. And it's going to force more Zerglings than drones, which is what Soulkey would have liked to be building instead.
Now, you can afford to lose a few drones here. And notice the timing there. Wow, actually getting that SCV too. The timing is very crucial. If you get your sunken colony too late and the bunker completes, then you want to commit to it. But otherwise, it's good to avoid that and make your way back out across the map. Now, Soulkey has those early links from that saved larva, and he's able to take out a Marine. Now he's running the Zerglings all the way back to mine space, and there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah, really well targeted, actually, to get that Marine. Now that... Oh, he's going to get another one? Oh, he might get both?
Oh my
quite.
God.
The SCV control here, good for mine, but that was really good control by Soulkey there to get both.
Yeah, a little sneaky there, because as the Terran player, you think, okay, I just got to run home. Soulkey turned around from after running by those Marines, came back and grabbed another Marine kill. And anytime you can trade Zerglings for Marines, it's good for the Zerg player.
So the lair is coming up now, and if anything, if history is any indicator of what Soulkey is planning on doing, he's going to try to sneak out the Spire here on 2 base with the triple hatchery. And so he'll grab that early, then they'll try to stop the 2x counter pressure that'll come across the map. Going to be tough to execute any more further pressure because that sunken colony was made early, but he wants to show some Marines, it looks like here, potentially to force more Zerglings. And actually, there's a lot of Lings coming across the map. This could get shut down real hard.
Okay, now, nice high ground scouting Zergling. This map does have, as a characteristic, high ground that you have to walk out. Now, Soulkey getting forward and actually getting a lot of damage down with more Lings rallied across the map. He will get right on top of Mine's units, but he might just not have enough. There are very heavily damaged Marines, and every single one will fall.
This is going to totally wreck the follow-up pressure he was planning on doing too, and this is going to give Soulkey so much room to work with. And I love this because he knows he damaged so many Marines earlier on. Even though he didn't kill all of them, the Zerglings did get good hits off on those Marines. Knew he could finish those off. The lair is done. See if he grabs that Spire.
Oh, he actually committed to running all the way by. There's only a couple Marines there in the bunker. They finally do convince the Zerglings to head on through, but right into a couple of waiting fire bats, and that should be good enough to clean this up as long as mine doesn't lose anything else.
Should lose these Lings now. Damage is 1 fire bat, I guess, before the medics come out.
Yeah, so going up to that 3 racks, like you said, Wolf, that should be good enough for now. This map is big enough that you can definitely go for the 5 rack style that Flash has really popularized, but it's really kind of a cool thing to see a stylistic difference here. Flash has been going for more of like the SK Terran, where you just stick on really heavy bio and science vessels as spellcasters, instead of the more standard style, which Mind likes to do, which is a more sort of mech style that involves vultures and more siege tanks.
This is actually such a great scout. This means he doesn't have to worry about any lurkers or any hydras coming out. No aggressive follow-up attacks or anything like that. He knows it's the Spire that he already expected. He already had the eBay coming up here. So you're very right, and he is going to go up to at least 4 barracks here, might add a 5th in just a moment. Scans, wants to see how many Sunkens are being added to know if he can actually commit to this before the Mulas come out. Few medics here. He has 4 Marines with this, and there's only the 1 sunken now, a second one being added, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so one of the things he also scanned for was the Spire. He didn't see it with that natural scan, so you won't know whether or not there's Hydras or Mutas coming out next, and that's it's a big deal. You have to have that information to know what you're dealing with.
Sure. Well, the engineering bay is, of course, spinning here, and he's going to send these units back after scanning and seeing that the Sunkens are in position. There's just no way he can, with this motley crew of units, find any damage because he lost those early units on. This this 2 racks pressure before you have your additional barracks, when you have your first few medics out, is designed to do a lot of damage if you can keep all his units together, but Soulkey actually caught it and shut it down. Now the first 5 mutas, it looks like here, are going to come maraud around the map and try to keep the pressure on while Soulkey takes a 3rd base. I like the fire bat that was sent actually by Mind to the bottom left to look for that 3rd base to try to kill that drone. In fact, forces the Mutas to go over and clear it, which gives a little bit of extra time for Mind to set up those missile turrets.
So Mind will see this coming. He's been building up his barracks count in his main. Now, any Terran player will know the timing for when Mutas are supposed to hit, and because they were a little bit delayed from the Fire Bat, you can see already turrets up and ready to go. There's just a hallmark of a very well-prepared player.
Yeah. He's dealt with this 1,000, 2,000, perhaps 3,000 times.
Oh yeah,
in practice, man. The ex-KT Rolster Terran here, who was very much a hard-working player. A lot of KT players spoke highly of his practice. Yeah. Some say he practiced even more than Flash. Just never had the results that Flash did. Okay, here's going to be the harassment attempt here. That was a bad exchange, though, for Soulkey. Didn't get even a single shot off there.
Yeah, so with Muta control, he's got them clumped up, so he has an Overlord bound in that control group. And he's trying to go forward and then use Patrol to flip around, get that shot off, and run backwards. But he is a little bit sloppy on it. He winds up losing his first Muta, or at least heavily damaging several of them.
The key here for these Mutas is to buy time for this Hive Tech to finish. Oh, he's going to go find the drone. This is so sick. I love what Mind's doing here to delay this third base. He knows this is exactly what Soulkey wants, is to get this third base up while the Mula pressure's on. Does save the drone. That's actually quite important.
Yeah.
Drone somehow jukes a stimmed Fire Bat, but that happened. But now we're going to see that big push coming across the map. Mulas can buy time against this for a while, but he doesn't have lurkers ready yet, and there's only 2 Sunkens. Mulas cannot fight this bio army straight up. He's going to need the Lings to come for this around. Lurkers are now morphing. This is actually a really tight timing that Mind is hitting right now to try to break the back of Soulkey.
And so it's essential that Soulkey uses these Mutalisks, and he's doing it over the edge there, that cliff wall. Very, very good position here. You want to try to delay this bio ball long enough for your lurkers to get out. And then, of course, you want to hold long enough for, inevitably, these Defilers to come out as well. But that is a lot of bio. There's not a lot of Sunken colonies.
This is so important. The lurkers, they burrow here, but he has a scan, immediately gets both. And now I don't know if this is going to be enough. There's another huge wave of Terran coming behind this, too. He needs to keep these medics alive for the rest of those Marines to join, actually. This is actually really nice for Soulkey, picked off those medics, but the rest of the attack is still coming.
Yeah, that's actually a really nice hold. Soulkey did lose quite a few Mutalisks, the Lurkers, and almost every Zergling there. He held just barely, but I think this will just barely be enough. He's going to lose that Evo chamber at the front. He doesn't actually care. As long as this bio ball doesn't break through his entrance, Soulkey is fine.
And the key here is now he has the Lurkers. He has the Hive Tech, and he has the third base. He gets all 3 with this narrow hold. And even though he lost a lot of units to do so, those 2 Lurkers, the Mutalisks, you know, at the end of the day, he's going to be able to get that Defiler mound up and get out that crucial late game tag. This is going to be a nice catch on Mind's arm. It looks like he just wasn't paying attention. He's going to lose everything.
Okay, so this is actually really, really bad. You notice how medic light that next group of Marines are? Mind, a lot of times you'll produce enough medics and then just expect them to last a little bit longer. If you do lose them, then your next waves of Marines just aren't as effective enough. There aren't enough of them, and now he's just hemorrhaging bio out on the map. Mind basically has no army right now.
Yeah, it happened exactly as you said it. Now the Nidus Canal is even safely added here. You see Irradiates being added for the science vessels that are going to be coming up soon. But Soulkey, this whole game, this whole map is his to lose now in terms of who's ahead. He just has total map control. There's no more bio on the map. He lost so much. He's adding some siege tanks into this now desperately here. Doesn't have any units here. Okay, looks like he actually did use a scan preemptively there.
Yeah.
I meant to say he doesn't have any vessels there, but it looks like he had the scan.
Oh, yeah, I was kind of confused why he instantly unburrowed too, but the scan was just off to the side. So this is another attempt by Mind, who is macroing very, very hard to make his way across the map and shut down Soulkey's third base.
Yeah, but he has lurkers up now. Remember, this is the key. Now, this isn't a standard ramp, obviously, so it's still not as strong as it would be on a traditional 4-player map where you have this. So a little bit of a wider ramp, so it's tougher to hold. Just going to buy time with these Mutas, trying to get more lurkers in through that Nidus Canal. Love the siege up here on this map. This works so well to force those lurkers back, and now he no longer has that choke point advantage here. Yeah. So this actually could take this base down here. He's going to send the Lings now through this canal.
A lot of Lings running out, and here will be Soulkey's defense. He loses every single Zergling. Siege tanks coming in from behind, and a science vessel on the front.
Okay, this is going to be the end of this lurker for sure. Irradiates the Defiler, but it doesn't stop the Dark Swarm from going off. In fact, 2 go off before it goes down here. The Siege Tank's doing some serious work. They're actually not underneath that Dark Swarm, the Zerglings there, but it looks like it might just be too much anyways.
Wow.
Science Vessel forced back.
And yeah, the Irradiate used on the Defiler, not the Mutas there, and I think that's going to do it. The Dark Swarm was just barely in range of those tanks, forcing the Unsiege, and there are enough Mutalisks to take out this force.
Yeah, there's not enough anti-air here for Mind. He's going to lose the majority of these units.
Might be it. I mean, so Mind has about 1 or 2 more last hurrahs here. Otherwise, he's about to mine out in his main, or at least he will very soon, losing these very expensive at this stage of the game vessels. I think he only has 1 other Science Vessel out right now, whereas a Terran player who's doing well right now maybe has, 3 or 4.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this little push we're seeing him come across the map might be the last. Maybe 1 or 2. The Mutalisks here definitely did not want to be hard engaging like that, but still, he needs this third base up, and he needs to find some more damage here, and he's going to struggle more and more without those expensive vessels. He has another one here with this army, but like you said, I think it's the only one he has on the map. Maybe a second one about to pop out. It's going to be such a hard engagement. So many Zerg units here. Lurkers in position. Dark Swarm.
Oh my god. All right, so this is the combination that tells Terran to go home. No fire bats mixed in means there's no damage that the Terran can do that's going to work underneath those swarms.
Yeah, there's also no siege tanks with this army either.
Yeah.
There's no way to break this. And when a Terran has to turn around and run away like this, you know something has gone horribly wrong. Now, I like this. This is really risky. He's going to double expand. It's risky if Soulkey finds it. He kills it immediately with just a few Mutalisks he can make. That'll go up there and totally trash it. There's nothing that Mind can do to defend. It's a huge risk Mind's taking, knowing that economy-wise, he's let this third base up for so long for the Zerg. His third is so late. Right. And the Zerg has all the late-game tech that he needs.
Ooh, only 1 of those Scourge hitting the Science Vessel. It will stay alive for now, but a Dark Swarm goes up on the ramp, and that should allow Soulkey to hold this position for quite a while. Actually moving forward. No, right into the Spider Mine. It's going to cost him another Lurker.
Yeah, the Spider Mines in the late game are what Zergs are really struggling with in this matchup nowadays. It wasn't always common to have a mech transition to Vultures in the late game, but it's just so cost efficient. And obviously you can kill Lurkers like this and prevent them from just kind of leapfrogging between Dark Swarms to control zones. So you can see that's already starting to take effect. But still, Soulkey has the larger army, and he should have Ultralisk out soon.
Soulkey is just a man on fire right now. You can really see how confident he is playing in this matchup, not being afraid of these big bio balls that are coming out on the map, meeting them head on, taking them out, and now he's going to have all the Zerglings all the way in Mind's third base, and this base has only just barely gotten up, and Science Vessels versus Zerglings is not a good fight.
No, I mean, they have the attack speed upgrade as well, and here comes the massive Scourge Swarm. 6 of them coming in. Let's see if all 6 connect. Gonna be just 2.
Ooh, okay, wow. That was actually much, Mind was much better prepared to defend his Science Vessels this time around. He will save them as well as save his third base. So try to retake that, but at what cost? He's still gonna be hurting for minerals here if he can't keep this reliably mining.
You know, I feel like Soulkey definitely bled off a lot of units there, the Scourges, the Zerglings. And he just got wind of that base to the top right, but he doesn't have a super massive force to deal with it. He is going for the attack now. But already, as you can see, there's a minefield set up, and Mind is actually, he actually got a good drag, but Mind is pretty decently set up to defend this. This could be a turning point in this game. Can Soulkey actually determine or destroy this base to the top right?
Really good Mind drags there. A couple of taking out almost every single Vulture that Mind has produced. Here come another big cloud of Scourge trying to hunt down these Science Vessels.
He knows the vessels are coming with the rest of the army to join up with this force, so he wanted to intercept them. Unfortunately, he misses it. Irradiate's going to take out this Defiler. And actually, that Dark Storm doesn't accomplish much, but here he comes with those Scourge. I don't think he sees them.
There's nothing protecting these Science Vessels, and every single one will fall.
And that is massive. That's going to really empower the rest of these Lurkers, and also going to give his Defilers more safety. The base still stands, though. And this is even though he killed the expensive Science Vessel, Soulkey lost a lot of his army. And finally, Mind actually has a really good economy, one that can definitely support this late-game mech, the Vultures, the Science Vessels he's pumping out off multiple starports back at home, getting those upgrades at the armory. I like this drop, too.
Ooh, perfect time, catching this maynard of drones all the way up to the 4th base for Soulkey. And eventually, these Vultures will get killed off just because of how fast they move and attack.
Yep, just with 2 of them, you can one-shot a drone, so he's getting as many here as he can.
You can also outrun Lurker Spines, and so he's just going to run all the way down. This is actually great control that allows Mind to deal a sizable amount of damage.
dealing with vultures, anyone will tell you, man, if the vultures get into your base or the vultures, find your Zergling army, your Zealot army, dealing with vultures is like the hardest thing to do. It's super easy to do once you're at this level of play. Like if you try to control the vultures like mine just did when you install StarCraft Remastered this summer, you're going to have a hard time, right? But at this level, this is just like tying his shoes, right? So it's so much more difficult for Soulkey to deal with that incredible vulture control, the spider mines. You can see just how difficult it is to detect them and remove them while you're trying to send your Zerglings across the map, like this.
Yeah, exactly. Very difficult. Protoss kill them very slowly with observers, but Zerg has to just kind of run in there and try to take them out. Now, another defense erected here to try to defend all the way up here, but this drop is going to be very, very effective. We're already going to see a Lurker making it all the way into the mineral line, and there's no way to deal with this Dark Swarm. Lurker Spines coming out. They get one big hit there on those SCVs. Everyone could die.
Yeah, he actually consumed a lot there, too, to make sure he had a ton of Dark Storms available. He even consumed an Overlord, which is a pretty rare thing to see.
Yeah.
But, now the Irradiate will finally come and clear this, but the damage has been done. Nice catch on these Vultures, though. Mine was microing elsewhere, dealing with that drop, so ended up losing a few. But this is a really scary position now for Soulkey. He's starting to grab on to this base down here.
Oh, but here we go. This is his big move. He does have the Dark Swarm, but there are a bunch of siege tanks. Can he get on top of them and deal the damage he needs to? It looks like the Lurkers are just not dealing very much damage, but it is going to be pushing Mind around while Soulkey tries once again futilely to run into his main base unsuccessfully.
One Lurker actually underneath there. He didn't have another Irradiate until he scanned to try to get one Vulture kill. I don't think that even worked. Drag here onto the siege tank. So incredible defense here for Soulkey. Now he has the Ultralisk Cavern. The Lings are heavily upgraded too. And he did send a group of units across to harass. I don't think it did too much damage just based on we didn't get a shot of it, but based on the mini-map, looks like they're all cleared up now. But it's really important that Soulkey was finally able to deny that top right mining, because if that had gone on for long enough, we're just max out of spider mines, or vultures, but of course they're producing the spider mines and siege tanks. That would have been Mine's ticket back into a massive lead in this game.
Soulkey continuing to try to harass these tiny little side bases, whether it's the one up at the 2 o'clock or that other one, and even actually denying the additional natural expansion from being erected. So, oh wow, Clutch Dark Swarm is going to save that Defiler for just a little bit with those Lurkers burrowing underneath. Vultures will be unsuccessful. Yeah,
when you actually have Spider Mines trying to be used defensively against these Lings, they will actually kill them so quickly with their attack speed upgrades. So, if you can get them up first, that's amazing versus Lings, but if Lings are already on top of you, usually not going to be a good situation.
So Soulkey keeps doing this thing where he just sends a control group of Zerglings into these bases, and every single one of them dies. Mind has just locked down all of these bases. Now finally going to be able to get Lurkers up into the main, or the third base rather, up here. They're going to be very successful, so will this drop, denying mining, killing a bunch of Soulkey's drones.
Yeah, this is actually a ton of damage over here. The Lings struggling to clear this up with the Muta Switch. We talk about this all the time. We don't normally get to see this because Zerg usually isn't given this much time, but when you have the Mutalisk Switch here, you can actually deal with this mech army that doesn't have a lot of anti-air, only a few Goliaths. There's not a whole lot of vessels on the map either, and this could be the end of the top right here for Mind. He just doesn't have that many missile turrets, and this is just the massive, terrifying Muta Switch. Kills another vessel here with Scourge. This actually just may be too much, Rapid. I don't know if Mind can actually recover from this.
If he wanted to, he could kill every single one of those SCVs, but instead, he will guaranteed kill this command center, kill several tanks, and now Soulkey is in panic mode. He has to do a big switch into pumping out all these tanks and go straight into Goliaths, and that does not produce very quickly. They also have to move all the way across the map, and here comes more Mutas than Mind has Goliaths.
And he's attacking with siege tanks into here either. Those are not the answer. Just bleeding off units. He's panicking here. He's losing his Goliaths to Zerglings here. I think this is actually the beginning of the end.
I think this is too much. Soulkey's ingenious Mutalisk Switch has caught Mind totally off guard.
And we see things like this in StarCraft 2 even against mech play. It's just so terrifying when you don't have the proper ratio of units. The Mutalisk Switch is so mobile and it will decimate your entire siege tank line. Now we could switch back into more Lurker play, more Ultralisk play. Now he's cleared all the siege tanks too. This harass should be dealt with soon, but he just types out GG. Yeah. There you have it, the Muta Switch, man. That's how you do it.
Just so tenuous that mid game. I thought Soulkey was ahead defending that third base finally, but then Mind was able to get in there and get another base of his own and really defend against Soulkey for so long. But man, that Muta switch, so smart. And I love seeing Zergs win that way.
I think the real turning point there was when Soulkey was able to get that drop off, had the lurker to the top right, that taxed the multitasking of Mind so much. He was doing some harass during that time, but he wasn't getting as much harass done as he would have liked to. And it also bought Soulkey the time to bank up the gas and the larva to make those Mutalisks. So that was really critical. The Overlord drop that went in there, the Defilers that came in to protect that one lurker, forced a lift, that forced multiple scans, multiple vessels to go over there. And then suddenly it's like, well, Mind you, this one drop of several Overlords, I think it was 3 there.
Yeah.
3 Overlord drop just totally pulls all your pressure away, pulls your focus into this one point. And then he wasn't thinking about the Mutalisk switch. He had a few Goliaths out, but that wasn't for the Mutalisk. It was just way too few.
Yeah, and also just to talk about what you were talking about with the Swarm on top of Lurkers, very clutch moments there. Spellcasting was much better from Soulkey. If you ever go up against a Terran player and you try to use your Defilers when they have a bunch of Science Vessels out, you can tell that you're going up against a really good player because your Defiler just gets irradiated instantly. And there were several opportunities where Mind was not quick enough at that, and he'd wind up either not killing it before Swarms would come out, or we didn't see Plague this time around, but that's definitely a possibility we could see in our next game. Mind looked very solid, but ultimately didn't, wasn't resilient enough over the course of that long game to take it.
Yeah, so some wrong target prioritization with the Irradiate, targeting some Lurkers instead of the Defilers occasionally, just misclicking a few times. But guys, we're going into game number 2, Blue Storm. Mind, he's on match point now. Will he get knocked out? Let's find out.
All right, and here we are, spawning on the map, Blue Storm, our brown Terran player, his Mind, his opponent in the white, as Zerg is Soulkey.
Here we go. So 2-player map here. So when you're in the 2-player map like this that there's the chance that you could get rushed by an early barracks. So we'll see if Soulkey decides to play it safe, as he did against Flash, or if he'll just again kind of take into Mind's play style and play more passively, go for the hatch first.
Well, Wolf, Soulkey has already decided to make drones, something that did not happen in Game 2 versus Flash on Camelot just yesterday. So we're not going to be seeing that crazy early 4 pool, and you will really only get a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to pull out a strat like that in such a high-stakes competitive professional game.
There's probably been like less than 10 4 pools in Brood War history, like in terms of like offline matches.
So, yeah, you would have certain players who are known as very cheesy players, or you would have players that you would know if you brought them out of Pro League, you're probably going to bring them into cheese against a better player if they get matched out like that. So certain players would do them a lot more often, and I feel like the value that Soulkey got out of his is that he's just not a cheesy player.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously certain maps for it, and there are oftentimes better cheeses in terms of being aggressive with your lings that will allow you a chance to transition. That's why we normally see it in those best-of-1 Pro League matches like you were describing. So he is going to go for the pool first, just not a 9 pool or anything like that. Just wants to have like a very economic defensive position, because even though this is a 2-player map, he knows that the rush distance is quite far, so he'll be able to defend quite easily with this spawning pool against anything, while still getting a few extra drones out.
Ooh, and great positioning there on that drone. Cool feature of the map Blue Storm is that you can block out that tiny little choke. However, SCVs have more aggregate hit points, so there's no way that a drone can just beat it in a straight-up fight.
That's right, here come the first lings. The SCV will have to run now. So wanted to get the snipe on this SCV. Ooh, not going to happen, at least not yet. The more times that SCV turns, though, the better chances for those lings.
Imagine if the SCVs actually had to run and they weren't powered by rocket jets. That would be
they would get
a little bit more comical. Yeah, comical.
It would be imbalanced. They'd have to have SCVs mine more metals.
It would be more like Goliaths, right? The SCVs are just like mini Goliaths without rocket launchers.
Yeah, I could see that. You know, when I first I thought we were going to have this Ling attack on the CC. Yes. It does have a few Marines here, but this is actually still very early. The CC
not all hit points. Cancel.
He's going to force a cancel. Nicely done.
That wasn't a cancel. Like I think he actually killed it, if I'm correct. I don't know exactly what that animation looks like because we haven't seen actually this happen a whole lot.
I think he canceled it, but either way, this is still horrible for Mind. And now the Lings are going to get into the main base too because that was part of his wall. He doesn't get the Overlord. Oh man, this is a disaster. Yeah, this is crazy.
He's got Lings in his main. These Marines will try to chase it around. If he's not careful, he'll just lose that Marine. Okay, he is careful, so he won't. But yeah, this is actually a disaster, and you were right, it did cancel, so just want to get that out of the way there. And back at home, Soulkey is just in a fantastic spot. He has his natural up, third hatchery about to complete as well, and Mind is just really struggling to deal with just this early pressure, and his natural is so delayed.
Okay, he's trying to get his Overlord. He fails again! No! How could he fail? Oh, it feels so bad, man.
And now, do you stall yourself out even more to grab this Overlord? And oh, look at what Soulkey's doing. He's hiding Lings, making sure. Oh, but he just walks right through the choke. Oh my God, he's got Zerglings just coming everywhere. And the ones in the middle of the map are going to get right on top of these Marines. They should be able to kill at least 3 or 4. And like I said, anytime.
Oh, look at this. This is so smart.
Oh, Mind just falling apart here in game 2.
And now he's going to lose those Marines. And like the CC actually didn't get delayed here because Marines are actually still decent. You're going to have to bring another SCV over. Oh, he might actually be able to kill another SCV here. Looks like he just wants to run around and get some more information and force more SCVs to stop mining. This is horrible. Now he has to make a bunker because if back at home Soulkey made only Zerglings, he literally just dies when speed finishes.
Yeah, he would lose instantly.
So he has to have that bunker up. This is just so frustrating for Mind. Soulkey going into that third hatchery. We might see a more aggressive follow-up this game, though, because of how affected Mind has been in the early game. Another SCV goes down.
Finally, these Zerglings will get cleaned up, or at least they should be there. And I don't think Soulkey's job right now is to kill Mind. He's already done so much damage. He's continuing to rally Zerglings across, but this is not a game-ending amount of Zerglings unless he does pool and hide them and then surprise them. So Mind, I think, has stabilized, but at what cost?
Yeah, well, that's the question. I mean, it's the cost of several SCVs, a lot of mining time, and a lot of his army. He lost so many Marines, too, so there's no follow-up push. This is a similar situation to the previous set where, Mind wanted to go for that 2 racks follow-up push, but he didn't have a lot of Marines. Speed's finished now. This is going to be the end of this SCV. Does get in here and scout. He wants to see if there's a Hydra Den or anything like that, so doesn't actually get in. That's really scary now because there could be like a Hydra Den in here and he's just making Hydras to go for another attack. Even though that would be unlikely, right? That's a possibility. That's why he wanted to come in there and scout because he has so few units right now. Just the bunker and I think 8 Marines in total.
Oh my goodness. This is when it would be really helpful to have like a army supply tab. Just to be able to see the sheer difference right now, because at this point, Mind is just thinking turtle, 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 and just make sure that he can stay inside his walled base for as long as possible. Soulkey should know that. It'll be interesting to see how he wants to punish.
Soulkey said in his opening interview that he wanted to show us a defensive style today, very similarly to how he showed us his games against Flash, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. He just adds the third hatch. He's adding even a creep colony to make a sunken to defend his hatchery. We're going to see the Spire come up. He just wants to kind of cookie cutter this, which is respectable, obviously. Show as few games as possible. Just, don't show any weird strategies. Don't try to all in. Don't try to just snatch this series, this best of 3 away when you know you have such an early lead and you're so good at this style. Okay, he's going to see this bio push coming across. Now we'll see if he adds that second creep colony. Probably should when he sees this.
Okay, this is still relatively scary, but oh wow, actually, yeah, going the extra distance, making sure that he is very well prepared, and catching these fire bats and taking them out. This push just got a whole lot weaker.
Okay, Stim's finished though, and these Sunkens are not all ready. This could be a very difficult push to hold. He's forced to pull drones off the line. Sunken does finish. The Ling's coming from behind now, but look at that wall with the medic. So difficult to break through, but the drones doing a decent amount of damage. He needs that Sunken to finish. It's almost done.
This is a very powerful timing for Mind to hit right before those Sunkens were done. And if things has just gone a little bit worse there for Soulkey, he might have actually taken critical damage from those Sunkens not being done in time.
Imagine had he not been affected in the early game, had he not lost all those units, how much more powerful this push could have been. Still now going to lose these expensive medics eventually.
Yeah, you do have to target those medics. Don't have a damaging attack, and so that means that they're much lower on the priority list for targets for the AI when you control your Zerglings. So kind of difficult to clear those out. Eventually, they will fall, and that means essentially Soulkey is defended perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, he has the Mutalisk tech now. We're going to see the transition to the 4 barracks and eventually the 5th racks coming up, so he will be able to just constantly pump out those Marines. Third base is already taken because Soulkey's like, yeah, okay, I doubt you have enough to attack me again. Now look at this sneaky Ling tactic. We're going to see this again. He's going to try to draw units out with these Mutalisks, then try to perhaps run by. I don't think Mind is going to take the bait.
I mean, it's not too big of a stretch to see that coming and say, okay, well, I'm not just going to leave my base. This is where Mind has relegated himself to for the foreseeable future. He's lost so many groups of medic Marines, setting them out, lost those Marines early, tried to put pressure on and lost everything there, and so now he is just turtled up as much as possible, and it's sort of a field day for Soulkey's Mutalisks as they try to poke in.
Yeah, this is actually still, like, even though he's not going to get caught by these Lings or anything like that, this is still such a great position for Soulkey because this allows him to take the third base to the top left. All this pressure that we're seeing. Now, Mind is not dead by any means. He's going to have another really strong attack, and how powerful it is really reliant on how many kills these Mutalisks get. If he kills a lot of these medics that are very expensive and hard to replace, it weakens that follow-up 2-base attack he's going to have with all his barracks. But here come the Lings. He actually just wants to target more medics with this. Almost gets one more there, just killing Marines instead. Because obviously the Lings softened up some of those Marines. That was kind of expensive for Soulkey.
That same Overlord? I think so. I think that's the same Overlord that regenerated most of his health.
Yeah, I think so.
And is now still alive from earlier. Wow, what a story to tell. So a sizable number of Mutalisks, I think only one maybe has gone down for Soulkey, so he's keeping that alive and very potent, continuing to poke in and really just make this such a difficult defense for Mind. But now Soulkey has found Mind's forces out on the map.
Several going down, 3 going down there, looking for another target here.
Ooh, great control here on Soulkey's Mutas. Getting in there, sniping these very vulnerable medics.
Just how many Marines he kills really is a big factor into the next attack. Now just going to go in and target down the Marines here with these Mutas. He's just got too many. Going to crush this attack force.
Oh, and I think Mind might, I saw a little bit of a shake of the head there. He might realize when you can't get out on the map as a Terran player and stop this Zerg from just expanding everywhere, massing out these aggressive units, you really don't have a very long lifespan.
Well, when he's losing all these medics like this too, he might not even be able to defend against the Mutalisks. The Mutalisk count is so high, and he could actually just start killing turrets and then start killing SCVs. Like, this used to be just pressure. Let's slow down this army. Let's kill as many units as possible. Now it's like, okay, let's kill SCVs. Let's kill turrets, because he's not going out on the map. He can't even leave his base. Soulkey's just massively ahead right now. Has that top left base mining now. Going to go into the main base, look for some pickoffs here. Just going to get the one turret, it looks like. A few SCVs on his way north, as there's only one turret there. Not a hyper amount of preparation coming out of this for Mind. In terms of the main base, did not expect the Mutalisks flyby. God, so much damage done. Not entirely sure where those medics were going. I guess they just got a little bit far away from the group.
Yeah, do need to keep everything grouped up. Controlling your units and keeping everything together is a big challenge in Brood War. A lot of times there's a very presumptuous presumption that a lot of viewers have. They just expect things to look a certain way, or they expect the control to be, this good in order to be on TV here. No, that is actually just so hard, even for professional players. Controlling all these units, very, very difficult. But Soulkey's making it look easy.
Yeah, just crushes this small force as well. The crowd is getting pumped on the Soulkey side because they know a few more shutdowns like this, and this game might as well be over. The 4th base is coming up for Soulkey right now. Still only had to make the 2 sunken colonies at his natural. No fear of drops right now with this many Mutas on the map too.
Or science vessels.
Yeah, science vessels either. Like, he's just like, oh yeah, well, good luck defending this. Gonna kill everything you have. This is what I was talking about. Eventually, after he kills enough units, he just flies into the main, and he's like, okay, do you have enough to even survive here?
Well, the answer is barely, and I think that's all Mind has really been able to do, is just try to hang on, try to survive, and I mean, he's been good enough at doing that, but he only has 2 bases.
Queen's Nest coming up means a hive is very much imminent. Going to have that Defiler tech, and right now Mind is struggling to survive, to produce science vessels. Doesn't have any still. The science facility is done. He's producing his first vessel now at 12:42 and is researching Irradiate. And he's just been unable to deal with this Mutalisk count this entire time. Lurkers are ready. He's making them right now. Just a massive amount. Not even putting them on the ramp or anything like that. He's just like casually morphing them outside his 4th base that he has. It's just a mineral base, but still, even with all the extra links he's going to have from those minerals, there's not a whole lot of fire bats in sight.
And Mine realizes right now he has to expand. His main should be about to mine out, or just very, very low on those mineral patches. So if he does not get a 3rd base up in the near future, maybe in the next 2 minutes, I'd say, Soulkey will just run him over. And I think that's what's about to happen right now.
You know, Mind, if he controls like a god, if he splits perfectly against the Lurkers, I mean, he's very low on medics. He still has a lot of DPS. He has these siege tanks. He could have a miracle fight. This is not going to be it, though. The Lurker's already in position. Well split here. Irradiate used immediately, the Muta pulled away. He needs to have godlike control. That's his way back into this game, but it's going to be very difficult against such an experienced player like Soulkey, who just has so many tools now. 4 Lurkers out on the map, and more morphing right now.
I don't even think Mind has started construction of another command center.
No, I don't think so either. He just wants to try to find some serious damage with this push. He has 1 vessel. The 1 vessel to rule them all. I better hope he doesn't lose it to the Mutas or Scourge.
I don't even think he has enough energy on it for Irradiate, because he already used 1.
Yeah, he doesn't. You're very right. Look at this. Macro hatches coming up. He's trying to slowly move forward. Look at that. There are like more Lurkers than there are siege tanks in this army.
I mean, he's building...
There's an Irradiate.
Okay, you irradiated 1.
Baby steps, right?
He actually got a little bit of bonus there, killing a low health Lurker with the splash damage from an Irradiate. But yeah, even still, this is going to be a very slow climb. And even if Mind is able to make this push all the way across the middle of the map, by the time he gets into a good position, there's going to be Defilers already there.
This is the slow, methodical play Mind is known for.
Oh, it's Soulkey getting in position.
Yeah, he's going to try to flank this. This could be it. This could be Mind's tournament life on the line. Can he defend this? Going to take godlike micro as the flank is getting set up. He can also harass reinforcing units. His Mind is kind of all in with this, right? He doesn't have a 3rd base. Soulkey knows this, so just going to look for the perfect engage. A few Lings actually get caught here, not on hold position.
All right, so you know, this is not a perfect spot for Soulkey to be in. Mind pushing forward very carefully.
Here's the flank.
Oh, this is just going to be a masterclass. How do you make a Terran army disappear? Here we go.
Here he goes. Muta's coming in here. There's no vessels left to kill for those Scourge. And this is just a dominant crushing of the Terran army. No Dark Swarm, no Defilers required. Just make a sandwich of that army with the Lings, Lurkers, and Mutalisk. And Mind now desperately starts a 3rd CC. But if Soulkey goes out and finds it, there is no way he holds it. No way, no how. It will be an impossibility.
I mean, that looks like something from the single-player campaign or from some cinematic wolf. Just an entire Zerg army crushing a vastly inferior Terran force. Soulkey just... that is a big power move. And usually you see Terran, if you don't lose those early armies, with a little bit more strength out on the map. No, Soulkey completely turned the tables, flipped them on Mind, and took out his entire army, and he's about to do it again.
He's going to do it again here. These 2 vessels are not enough. There's no DPS in this army. 1 medic? Yeah, right. Okay, here he goes. Going to try to finish this off. This may be the end of Mind in this tournament. He does have a siege tank in position. And you have to really give Mind credit for his methodical play with these siege tanks, with his bio, being very cautious. But, you know, Soulkey just has the large army and will eventually destroy this. He's just desperately trying to hold, hoping Soulkey overextends, hoping Soulkey makes a massive control mistake.
Soulkey just built his 5th hatchery. It's right up there at the 12 o'clock position, but it's not even getting a chance to complete. Here we go. Soulkey just overrunning Mind's army.
Yep, doesn't have very many Lurkers left. The irradiates go down, but okay, a whole nother set of Lurkers comes in. Never mind. Spoke too soon on that one. Even though he killed like 3, there's still so many more. This base is forced to evacuate. He needs it so desperately. His main base is nearly mined out. And now he can't even land this CC. Firebat's coming over. He prepares for the Defiler transition, but still, so cost efficient for Soulkey. The opposite is true of Mind. You can't even retake this CC.
Oh my god.
Look at this follow-up army. All the Defilers.
And yeah, there's no way to deal with those Lurkers. There's a science vessel revealing them, but no units to kill them. So, wow. I don't know what else to say, Wolf. This is just a masterclass of how to play Zerg versus Terran, especially against this, Bio. I feel like Mind might have tried the same thing that he did last game, and switching into mech, you saw that one Vulture come out, but it's just a vastly weakened force. Soulkey going to be able to run forward, probably just envelop this army.
This is really cost efficient for Mind, but he loses another vessel, and here comes the Darkstorm. This is going to be the part he has trouble with. He had so many fire bats just a moment ago, but he doesn't have them anymore. And this is going to be the end of this army, and I think finally the end of this game. Another Dark Swarm, just well placed here to finish off these medics, trying to heal the one Marine. Not going to happen. More and more Scourge rolling over to kill the last of these vessels. You can even start attacking that Floating CC with them at this point.
Yeah, you just run them all the way in there. I don't know how many Scourge it takes to kill a floating command center, but it would be a lot, and probably a little bit of icing on the cake if he did go ahead and do that. Now, I mean, one thing you can do is, well, it's not landed. If you weaken the command center, you can infest it as the ultimate BM. But
yeah, that's the ultimate BM. If he makes a queen, we know he's telling him to get out.
Yeah, that is truly the ultimate way of just
saying get out.
Your opponent get out. Yeah. So at least for the time being, Mind has found some way, somehow, to hang on. I don't know how this game is going on, other than, oh, look at playing on the fire bats. The reds become redder, the G's become G'er, and that will do it for game number 2. Soulkey taking a dominant 2-0 victory over Mind.
Lights out. Soulkey with such a dominant performance last night against an even stronger Terran opponent in Flash. You'd have to expect that he was going to take the games tonight, but he did in such dominant fashion. And I feel like Mind certainly fell apart in the early game in Game 2, allowing those early run-bys into his main base several times, not dealing with the pool first that we've seen from Soulkey against Flash. And after seeing the hatch first in Game 1, perhaps he just didn't expect it because Soulkey's played more conservatively against Mind. But, I mean, that was a pretty dominant game, too. And he lived for a long time there because Soulkey just kind of kept throwing units at him. And, as it turns out, Bio was pretty efficient against units that aren't fully set up, and they're just kind of running in there to try to siege up. But he lost so many of those fire bats, too. He had the next round of fire bats too late. There were more defilers, I think, in the end of that game than there were science vessels.
Yeah, and science vessels just continuing to get taken out there. It was so late. I think it was maybe 13 or 14 minutes before you had one science vessel. So, I think Game 1 was a much better illustration of, what Mind had in store, and just crippled a little bit too early in Game number 2 with the Zerglings getting into his main base. Just too difficult to take care of, and wow, Soulkey really, you can tell he was very practiced up on that ZVT matchup. We didn't mention it earlier, but these guys have actually faced off quite a bit recently, not only in SSL, but if you guys watch the online BJ leagues, the Thrill Star League, Mind dominated Soulkey. It was just not even close. He beat him in the groups. He beat him in 3-1 in the playoff bracket, and I was actually a little bit worried for Soulkey coming into this because Mind had just sort of been his kryptonite all the way up until now, but turns out when you practice against Flash in a tournament setting, it makes you pretty good at ZVT.
Yeah, and you have so many tournaments to practice for right now. He'll be playing, of course, the 3rd, 4th place match tomorrow at the ASL, so there's just so much practice coming in for this player right now, and I know Soulkey and Mind are really close friends. I saw them talking quite a bit about the matches yesterday and the match coming up tonight in the makeup room before the matches, so definitely going to feel a little bit rough for Mind, who's just struggled in the post-Kespa era to find big success, whereas Soulkey, who struggled in the Kespa era, is now dominating in the ASL, doing well in SSL as well. So unfortunate for Mind, he's out now. Soulkey did lose in the ASL yesterday, but he's got his chances alive here in the SSL.
That's very true. He will advance to the next round, and he'll be taking on the Protoss player Free. So this is going to be an interesting matchup as well, because Soulkey has to play Bisu tomorrow. So the Zergs have gone their different ways, and now it's going to be a very diverse sort of situation for him to be in. He's going to play against one Protoss player and then another one. So maybe again, great practice. Now here's a look at today's results. Soulkey with a win on Neo Jade and Blue Storm to take Mind out the SSL Classic Playoffs.
That's right. He takes the 2-0 Circuit Breakers, the map that he struggled on against Flash, not actually going to come to pass in this best of 3. So well played by Soulkey. Look, Mind had a great run in this tournament. I think the fans, obviously the entry to this tournament was fan-based, and Mind, I think, gave a good show for the fans. He made playoffs despite having such pitiful results, really, in the ASL post-Kespa. And even in his online tournaments, he's looked okay. But, I mean, he was a Royal Roader, as you mentioned, an MSL champion. Soulkey never had a StarCraft 1 title. But right now, Soulkey is just the better player.
Yeah, apparently, if I'm remembering this correctly, Soulkey has never made it to the finals of a Brood War tournament before.
I think his highest was, I actually have this here, his highest was around a 16.
Yeah.
He's never been past around 16.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to head over to a very special interview because our interviewer is free. So, yeah, this is kind of interesting. This is the player that Soulkey will face in the next round. So, hello. It's good to be here with you all.
So funny, Free's going to interview him here.
So Free says, yeah, no congratulations for winning that game because, okay, well, now you have to face him in the next round. So Soulkey says, I feel really awkward right now. I think I would have rather lost that game and gotten 4th place, so I didn't have to be here. So Free says, I mean, you look pretty happy, so why do you look so happy when you know you're going to lose the next round? Oh, Soulkey says, well, you know, that's kind of strange because I didn't actually hear that my next opponent was very good. So talking more about the match, Free saying, yeah, so you showed some good defense in that last game. So Soulkey says, yeah, I actually don't feel like I defended as well as I should have, but my macro game worked out really well. Free says, yeah, I was watching the match, and I thought, oh, maybe Soulkey could have lost here. So now next question, Soulkey, you seem to have taken on a more aggressive style as seen from you yesterday versus Flash. And Soulkey says, you know, I'm really known as a macro player, so I'm trying out new strategies and builds to try to change my image. And Free says, wow, this is really awkward. So let's move on to the match that you'll be facing next versus me. Now, Soulkey banned Match Point, whereas Free banned Neo Jade for their next match. And because Free is second place, they'll be drawing, and has chosen Circuit Breaker for his first map. They'll be drawing for the next 2 maps.
That's the advantage that 3rd place had over 4th as well in that last set. Okay, so we're going to Blue Storm for game number 2, and the last map that Free will be, actually going to be Soulkey choosing, just randomly here. Find out what it's going to be. The reveal. Neo Medusa.
Neo Medusa, all right. It's like, well, I already know what it is. I just read it in my head. Way to go, Soulkey.
So you remember when I beat you on Neo Medusa? You mind the map normally favored for Zerg players in this matchup.
So he says, in the next round, Soulkey, you'll be facing the most dangerous and powerful player in SSL Classic history. Soulkey says, well, you know, if he's that aggressive and that strong, I'm just not going to fight him. I'm just going to show him the best defense ever.
Free won that last map on Neo Medusa with that Zealot run by, holding the hyper-aggressive attack.
Yeah. Turns out you can't just shove tons of Zealots into a bunch of Lurkers.
승자 인터뷰를 할 것을 다시
Alright,
인사드릴 것을 약속드리면서 이제
So Free's having a little bit of trouble here. I thought he was going to close this out, but he's kind of having some trouble figuring out how to end the interview.
네, 오늘 일단
So finally, any final words for your fans, Soulkey?
좋은 성적 내서 결승까지 올라가 보도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
So Soulkey says, I'll show you a good game in round 2 and try to make it all the way to the finals.
김유철 선수의 승리를 본 것 같고요. SSL 클래식에서 다음에는 제가 이겨서 승리 인터뷰를 할 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
So Free says,
응원 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.
well, next time I'll be here winning and I'll be able to be up here doing my own winner's ceremony.
Well, there you have it, man. It's tough to say who will end up on top between those two players. That's actually, I think, going to be a closer matchup than this one. But it's funny because Soulkey plays a Terran in ASL, then he plays a Terran in SSL, and then he's going to play Bisu tomorrow, and then he's going to have to play against Free on the next playoff matchup next week. So kind of a weird situation and unfortunate for him, I guess, in a way, because it's fortunate for him because he gets to practice the same matchup that he's going to play, but also that his opponents get to study how he plays it just before.
Well, yeah, so Soulkey has to play against the best Terran player and then play against mine. And that next Soulkey's going to play against the best Protoss player and then go play against Free. So I don't know, man. This is
people have called Free budget Bisu, basically. Like, he has been called this. So
well, I don't know how many there are. There are only 6 dragons. So if he collects the Dragon Balls for beating one yesterday and one tomorrow, maybe he'll have enough to make a wish and make it to the finals. I don't know.
I hope his wish is that remaster comes out, man.
That'd be a pretty good wish. I'd wish for that a while ago. But this is a look at our next matchup. This will be happening on Thursday. It's going to be Free taking on Soulkey, as you just saw there in the interview. And the maps will be Circuit Breakers, Blue Storm, and Neo Medusa.
Those are our 3 maps. So that will be on Thursday at 7 p.m. Of course, we'll be having that as our first matchup. Then we'll have the StarCraft 2 matchup after that. We don't know who those players are going to be just yet, because we're going to have to determine who's going up to that extra match on Thursday. That's going to be coming up after we take a little bit of a break here. So, hope you guys enjoyed the Brood War. I know a lot of people, this is kind of the StarCraft 2 waiting room for them, but I hope if you just watched for your first time, you really enjoyed it, as I certainly did.
Yeah, I was getting some reactions from other fans saying, is Brood War always this crazy? And yes, it is. So if you're a StarCraft 2 fan, then check it out, not only today, but also on Thursday, where we will have Free taking on Soulkey. And if you are still a fan of StarCraft, make sure to stick around, because we do have the StarCraft 2 portion of today's broadcast coming up next with SSL Premiere.
That's right. So if you are nearby and you're in Seoul and you're watching this right now, you've got a little bit of time. You've got like 30 minutes. Get down here. Get in a seat. There's a few seats left, but get them quick before they all disappear. Otherwise, just sit here, and the stream will stay live. You'll have a countdown up as to when we're going to go to our next matchup of the night. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys for the StarCraft 2 portion. Myself back with Valdez. For myself and Rapid, have a great 30-minute break.